David Wooster Associates for additional traffic engineering services in the amount of $9,250 for the Muse School Street Extension.
Second. Second by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
For the baseball and softball field renovations, we ask that the board reject the bid received for the baseball and softball field renovations.
Motion. Motion by Barney, second. Second by Joe. Frank, do we have any idea when we're going to take this back out to bid?
So our goal is to let this busy season take its course. So the reason we only got one bid was that every company we reached out to after the fact said they were just too busy, they didn't have time to take on the extra work. So probably this fall, when all those projects are complete and all those companies are looking for work, then we can go back out to bid and hopefully get a more favorable number.
Really strive to have it in place for next season.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor of rejecting the bid?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
For the unexpected boiler repair at the current middle school, we ask you to approve not to exceed $30,000.
Motion by Joe, second by Mark. Do we have an actual bid?
So I have the bid documents prepared, and they will be advertised this week. We have to advertise for 3 consecutive weeks. So we will open those bids in mid-July and accept the lowest responsible bidder at that time.
That was why you added this year that portion of the recommendation.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item is a result of the branding committee having multiple meetings. We ask that you approve the logo and mascot revisions.
Second. Motion by Daniel, second by Mark. Any discussion? Discussion.
Do we want to, I mean, I hate to even bring this up again, but it came to our attention that the possibility of the gym floor now, apparently that's a possibility. Is that something we want to talk about? I mean, I know we didn't want to do it initially because we didn't want to spend extra money and we thought it was too late to have it done, but apparently now it's not too late and it would be better to have it on there versus waiting another 10 or 15 years.
I think it's a good discussion. How do we go about getting it approved? And do we have a number on what that would be to do it now while we're working on it?
We don't have a number. I know today the conversation was kind of struck up. So we do not have a number of what it would cost this time. We can get that. So those are stencils. The stencil has to go into production. We know how production lines are at this point. So we can get a number and a time frame of what that would look like and bring it back to the board if that's something we're willing to spend and wait on.
Now,
But that would impact.
will that impact the getting the floor done like it's supposed to be starting pretty soon, right?
Well, they started already.
Okay,
They're painting today, so
But-
it's gonna be, if everything was to go right now, it'd probably be done next week.
but if not, it's gonna delay
It'll
the,
delay the main gym. Now, the back gym can be finished, obviously. They wouldn't be able to varnish the main gym because the logo wouldn't be down. So we'll have to wait and see the lead time on that logo and get them back here because they're probably gonna go to another job once they do the back gym.
Lead time and cost.
And there's a cost to the new logo, and then if you want it brushed in, it's gonna be an additional cost.
So they already made us a logo with the current.
Well, yeah, we presented that months ago.
Yeah, that
The
was-
So
drawing.
I mean, we already paid for.
We paid for a logo already, yes.
I say just, my opinion, just leave it the way it is. I mean, they're already started. That's just my opinion.
Is it as easy as calling O Creations? Is that where, who makes the logo? And quickly of a day or two, can we get a response that says, oh, never mind, it's 2 months out? Then I think our decision is made, but can we make a phone call?
Yeah, and there's a company called Praters who was company we were working with on the design.
Okay.
And they produced those logos, the stencils for the logos. So it would be a matter of the company calling down and talking to them and saying, we want to change our logo, how long is it going to be, what's going to be the cost. So,
Do we have any idea what the cost is, or something like that?
like, going to be a few thousand.
I would say this time of year, $5,000 to $10,000. You have to repay for the stencil. Might cost a different paint amount, so the colors would stay the same. But if the logo, which the new logo does have more kind of filled in the background, so there might be an upcharge on paint. And I think this time is going to be their biggest charge because this is their busiest time of the season. Everybody gets their gyms done in the summer. So if we're telling them, you know, they expect to be here this week, we're telling them to leave and come back in 2 weeks, and they got to fit us in, maybe second shift, maybe weekends, there could be cost for labor. But those are numbers we can determine pretty quickly. I could probably have something back definitely by Friday on what that change would look like time and cost wise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do August.
Oh, no, when we start fall sports the 15th, so we need to make a decision in a week.
Or at least that would require us to have a special meeting.
It's a possibility. The problem twofold for tonight is A, we don't have a number to vote on. And number two, was not part of the agenda 24 hours in advance. Certainly a special meeting could be held for a specific purpose of approving, once you have the numbers, et cetera. Another possibility along the same lines would be not to adjourn tonight's meeting, excuse me, but to recess it to a date certain. Now, all that will do is save the cost of the advertisement, and then we would obviously post it and so on. And then the agenda would be posted 24 hours in advance. By doing that, you'd have numbers that you can vote on. If you don't have numbers at that point, there is always the not to exceed option. There's a third option, that you could authorize the superintendent, or I think you're out of town, Michael, next week?
Yes.
To, authorize somebody to approve a not to exceed number and then ratify it at the next meeting. Probably the recessing makes the most sense.
If we can get the numbers.
That's true, Pete. The problem, of course, of approving without the numbers becomes.
So I just have one quick question, because I just heard about this right now. If we accepted a bid and we bid that project, and now we're just gonna go ask for numbers, don't we need to rebid this?
I think you can do it as a change order.
If it's with the same.
It's the same vendor.
So you can't go out to another vendor, what this suggested then?
Well, again,
No, I
that
was
would
just
depend
referencing-
on the numbers, Joni, and of course, you know them. You know, remember there were 18,500, but that's gone up with inflation, and then, what was it, 10 to 18.5, that's gone up with inflation.
We would just use All-American Athletics, who's doing the contract
If
now.
it's under 10, you can just get this solicitation.
So we would just
I
go back to
understand,
that.
I just heard another company
Is
being
it a
thrown around.
whole
You can't do that.
resurfacing of paint?
You know, the company that I threw out was over.
just repaying the old stuff?
No,
One
right.
discussion,
Right,
one
Yeah.
discussion, one discussion at a time, please. Paul?
I was just I know that they do it every couple of years. I mean, I didn't know if you could leave the logo off until Thanksgiving break and then put the logo on. I know you gotta get the wax on before school starts.
The floor is sanded down. This is the process you do once every 15 years. So it has to be done now. You can't wait. You can't do the floor and then come back and.
No, that's why I was asking about the wax and everything. I agree.
15. And Liz?
Oh, I was just referencing, Jody thought I was bringing in a new company into the conversation, but O Creations is the company that came up with the logo, and I didn't know if you would go back, you have to go back to them, or it's with the company we already have the bid with, and they manage
we-
that whole process.
We would just provide the file, I think it's a JPEG file, to All-American Athletics. They would go to their stencil company, get a lead time, and then obviously whatever costs are associated with All-American.
And then would you do this to come from the high school stadium, because we still have money left to do the HVAC, that's bids out there. So this would take from that pot of money, whatever the amount is.
It's a nominal amount of money. I think that the young man that was up there working today, when he was asked, he was talking around $5,000.
Okay, because I thought you guys said you didn't have the number. I just heard, so I didn't.
Well,
know.
he's not the authority.
It's not a
He's
quote.
Okay.
Right,
It's just a,
So,
Yes.
yeah, and I don't know the ins and outs of the road budget process. I still have some funds and line items to cover that amount.
I, for whatever reason, didn't have knowledge of this prior to today, that this was even up for discussion. And I can tell you that had I would have likely suggested we follow our protocols. There's a lot of research that still needs to be done to even determine, can it be done? How much is it if it can be done? And perhaps it should be taken to the committee to determine if it should be appearing before the full board. And if indeed that is the case, then we could schedule a special meeting in July. There is going to be a delay. There could be money involved in that in and of itself. But that would be the proper protocol that I would suggest to follow.
in fact, the problem is that there's a delay, it's a guarantee that they're gonna be able to come back and finish everything
There is.
that we need done.
Right, there is. So you're left with the couple of options, gamble with a delay, or as Bernie suggested, go with what you've got.
Given the supply chain crap that's going on and everything else, I don't really want to gamble with it. I would vote to, my recommendation is we move forward as discussed.
That would be my vote as well.
Right, so we had a motion, we had a second, we've had discussion. All
Discussion on the actual.
Okay, any further discussion on the actual logo and mascot revisions? All in favor? Opposed?
No.
So you don't want to